here with Tammy Steinbrecher, Kristen Kill, and Dana Roberts, three of my students. We were yakking about them riding with me, but the conversation veered off into coaching at Worlds last year and the culture of WD. Here's an excerpt of our conversation.
Yes,
Great.
it is fun. And obviously we did well. And I don't know if it's always about that. As long as, we're out there with our horses and our intentions are there and, under stress. I've never been coached in the arena before like that, like I was this year at Worlds.
Right.
I always put my own self in, and I was a little nervous about getting coached. And you did adjust very, very, very well to that paranoia I had about going, oh, what if I don't get it right? But we did a great job together, I thought. So it felt more like a partnership than somebody telling you what to do. And it worked out great.
Yeah, and there's a whole different hat that you wear when you go to a competition with someone, and that's why there's a different word. It's coach. And when you go to a show, you're not the instructor, you're the coach. And sometimes that means that you're the mental coach, sometimes you're the horse's coach, sometimes you're helping the husbands, the staff, the helpers that are all around the horses. And even it was great that Kristen had been showing so much. She has put herself in the ring so many times. She said to me, and this is great when a coach gets feedback from a rider, she was very frank with me weeks before we went. She said, I don't know how this is going to go for me. I'm not used to having instruction right before I go in. I have a plan that I do. And my attitude was, well, by the time we get there, you'll have had many virtual lessons. So first of all, we'll be really used to each other. But second of all, Kristen's wonderful. She's very frank. She's a frank student. She talks back to me a lot. I talk a lot with her. We chit chat, we laugh, and we have a great time. But there's a lot of exchange going on. And she knows that she could say to me, I'm really nervous. I can't take any more input today. And there was at least one day, I don't remember which day it was, but there was a day when she was tired and she felt edgy and she was like, I need to just be quiet and focus. And it was fascinating. I was like, that's great. I do this all the time. I'm like this myself when I go in the ring, and my coaches are there for me. And I say to them, hey, I have a plan and I only want you to say something to me if you think that I'm falling off the wagon, the wheels are going off the bus. If you think I'm doing okay, don't give me too much input for a few minutes. I just need to chill out. And the funny thing about that is I just watched, and Kristen started coming over and saying, okay, now how am I doing? And she kind of asked for my input. And by the time she was like 10 minutes into her warm up, it was like her riding lesson. We were just, and she was back to normal. But it was great, that wonderful, honest communication. That's what people need, and no one should ever be offended by that. That's how coaches and students work together. And you just have to be there. And when you get to a competition like that, my job is to look at the big picture, look all around and be sure, like, hey, we're on schedule. We're not making any mistakes. We haven't got, nobody's making a mistake like, oh my goodness, we put the wrong bridle on or we get wrong tack or anything like that. And then check in with your rider, check in with your horse, be sure that they're feeling okay. But by the time you get to a competition, you're not going to train. I'm not going to do any training.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that experience, even throughout the week. So I still think I learned. That was a big learning week, because then I could take the comments and then you could translate them and do what I needed to do. So it still was that part was probably the best part. That, and when I got home, you videoed each test, and then I could listen to what you said with each move, and then I could see it. That was great.
Did I do that while you were riding? I was talking to you while I was typing. Yes, I held up a phone for her and I was commenting to her because I was at A, but I'm saying, Kristen, you didn't have your left leg on. You're not straight. Can you see it? And then you turned the corner. Oh, he's a little off the bit. You didn't use your outside rein half halt, blah, blah, blah. So I did that, right? Yeah, I've done that before for people.
That's really cool. And I think that's like super helpful.
Yeah, and then the interesting
Right.
thing is you take those comments and you look at her test and see if the judge saw what I was seeing. You know, of course, we're at two different angles, so you don't always see everything. But I'll tell you, those judges got eagle eyes. They saw everything I saw and a few extra things too, you know, like, and if you get lucky, you know, of course, it's really not fair to ask a trainer to evaluate something because you already know somebody's bad habits. So I'm watching for the slip up that you're in the habit of making, and I see it. If you get lucky, it passes by the judge once, or it didn't bother them so much because they haven't nagged about it quite a few hundred times. You know, kind of like, I told you not to do that again. But it happens, you know. I have my own equitational faults, just like everyone. I'm human. When I go in the ring, I make a mistake or I have my bad habits. Everybody does. But whoever's coaching you is always reminding you of those habits. And you're hoping that the judge doesn't, you know, that it doesn't notice, they don't notice it the first time or so, or they let it go by, or it wasn't in their face as much as it is your coach. And generally you would be amazed. It's good. You know, I always say to people when they send me a test for evaluation, I'm very honest with them. And I say to them, I think I said this to Kristen before, I'm going to judge you just as hard as possible. I'm going to pick this test apart with a fine tooth comb because I can't overjudge your test and then send you in and then you're disappointed. I really need to be a little bit more thorough than the judge. And I sometimes say to people, I think if I was just judging your test sitting at C, that I'd be a little easier on you because I just would be, because I know when I'm judging that there are things that you kind of let go. But when you're coaching, you don't let anything go because you, as a coach, you don't want to see the long face of someone who missed a placing or a trophy or whatever on a 0.011 percentage or something, you know, 1.5 off. Somebody loses by a 1.5 off or 0.5 off, and their faces are very long. And, you know, when you're the coach, for me, it's not about whether you guys all win or lose. I like to see you do a good job and have a good time. But a lot of competitors, it is about how they did. And the long faces are pretty tough. So I know that you want to be successful. So I'm particular with you. If that means fussy, particular, yeah. But on the other hand, Kristen knows that when she does something right, you know, her earbuds just about explode because I'm out there, yahoo, that's awesome.
I get a kick
Great,
out
I
of it.
want to give a 10.
You know,
I
the
think
other thing too, Ida, is when, you know, like we're still at the beginning of this industry. It's only been 10 years old, or is it 11 years now? Was it 10 last year? Anyway, so I'm hoping that for me, an older rider and setting a precedent for future is how this industry is, or how this sport really, Western dressage, is going to progress. So I hope that by my mistakes and things that I have learned, and I share all my little boo-boos all the time, and that other people can say, oh, well, that was okay. Because if there's one thing I've noticed, because I'm a marketing person, I'm not a perfectionist by nature, except for this little sport I found myself in. And, you know, so I look at things more as a visionary. So I've had to learn, and I'm still learning, and we struggle with this, that when I come to my lesson, I need to come to my lesson, not be like, oh, la, 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 la. And that's a very common thing for dressage people to be very intense and perfectionistic. And I've had to learn how to step up to that plate, and I'm still learning that. But hopefully the work that we do together and what we present in the arena, both sportsmanship, horsemanship, and professionalism, will set a standard for the people that come after us. So,
Yes.
and then to be fun and to not be, or I hate to say what not to be, but to be the brand that people want to be involved in. So, and that's Western dressage, and
Welcoming and
that's
kind. We can be perfectionists, but we can be welcoming and kind, and we don't need to be exclusionary. And I don't think
right.
we are, because we
No.
welcome all people and all horses, you know, and people are always cheering for. Did you see that unique horse over there? And what breed is that one? And we
Yeah.
have,
I
when
love
we
that.
have a show that has 50 or 60 breeds in a show.
Yes.
Wow.
And the
Tammy
gated,
Tammy can
is
speak to
so
this
cool.
because
Mhm.
she's on a gated horse. And
Right.
Western Dressage has made you
That's one of
welcome.
the things I love about Western dressage is how welcoming they are to all different breeds, trotting or gaited. And it gives everybody a chance to showcase their breed and go in and watch the other ones. I've learned so much from watching different breeds that I didn't even know existed.
Mhm.
And I've seen that at the World Show, and like the best of the best. And it's just been a lot of fun.